Yes, you read that right. I am going to be ditching my smartphone for an entire 30 days. And actually, not just my smartphone. I'm going to be going without a cell phone for 30 whole days and switching to a landline phone. Today is day one for me. I am locking my phone up today, and I'm going to take you along this journey with me and document it. But in this video, I'm going to be sharing why I'm doing this experiment, how I'm setting it up, like the different rules that I'm putting in place for myself, and then the swaps. So I'm going to be sharing what I'm going to be using in place of certain apps and how I'm actually going to do this like logistically. So get cozy, get a beverage, and let's get into it. I guess I'll just go ahead and dive right into the reason why I'm doing this experiment, because you're probably wondering what would possess someone to completely ditch their smartphone for a month. It really has become like an extension of ourselves where you almost feel naked if your phone is not in your hand. So first off, I'm simply curious. And I think that there's something to be said for optimizing or going on this self-improvement journey, if you will, from a place of curiosity and fun and fullness instead of from a place of lack. Because to be totally real with you guys, my life isn't that bad. Like, I think that for so long I fell prey to the messaging of the wellness industry, of the self-help industry, that something's wrong with you and you need to fix it. And I've realized that self-optimization and tweaking things in your life and viewing life as one big experiment that you can play around with and tweak and see, okay, where can I get 1% better here? It becomes more like a fun game and just existing more in the realm of curiosity, as opposed to, oh my gosh, something's wrong with me. I'm broken. I need to fix myself. I need to get my shit together, or feeling like something's wrong with me that needs fixing. So that's what I'm really passionate about just in general, this concept of playful optimization, like optimizing from a place of fullness and acknowledging that actually our lives are pretty great. All my needs are met. I have, honestly, a really great life. There's nothing big that I'm trying to fix from this experiment, because I've noticed from doing prep for this and all the research I've done, I've watched a lot of other YouTube videos on this topic and people that have done this experiment. And I feel like most of them are approaching it from a place of, there's this stuff that's wrong with me, like my attention, my focus, my anxiety, etc. My screen time is crazy high and I feel really bad and I want to feel good. So therefore, I'm going to try this and see if it works. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I just prefer to approach self-optimization and making my life better from a place of already being full and having an overflowing cup and already loving my life, and everything else is just the cherry on top. So that's one important note about how I'm approaching this. It's not because I have this crippling anxiety or just complete inability to focus, although that would be great if these areas did improve, if I did notice some different cognitive or mental health benefits or things like that, better sleep, less stress, what have you. But that's not the main reason I'm doing it, which I do think is an important distinction. Another reason is to have more time. Do you remember when you were a kid and the days just seemed to move slower? So what I'm talking about by trying to create more space and more time in my life is not just the actual hour amount of time that I'll get back that I'm not spending on my phone, which there's a lot to be said for that too. The average American has...
I actually forget. I should have looked this up before filming this video.
But the average American has several hours of screen time every day, right? And I think that we've probably all seen this statistic floating around out there. But honestly, for me, this experiment is not just about getting more time back, which is partially true, but more to change my perception of time. Because I really think that it's not just the actual hour amount that you'll get back to do other things you want to do. From what I've heard from other people that have done this experiment, time seems to just move slower and you have a different perception of time altogether. So I'm really curious to see what happens on that end. And I also want to allow myself to just be bored again. I think that a lot of really beautiful creativity, especially as a writer, can come from boredom. And I really don't think I allow myself to be bored ever. There's always something in the background.
Whether it's a podcast or music or something, like talking to someone on the phone or whatever it is.
I'm always multitasking, and God forbid I ever feel bored for 5 minutes, that I ever sit in a waiting room without obsessively picking up my phone and literally not even going on my phone to see anything specific, but rather just to avoid the discomfort of sitting in silence with nothing else to do. Okay, the next thing, I'm just gonna say brain benefits. So I watched another YouTube video, which I will link below. It was a great video, by the way. I was fascinated by it, and this was one of the videos that really convinced me to do this experiment for myself. Of course, the way that I have set it up is slightly different. I think everyone that does this will have their own unique version based on their own unique lifestyle and needs and things like that. But this guy basically did a before and after where he went to this brain researcher who put this cap on his head with all the wires and stuff, and they studied his brain. And then they also did some different tests for attention and focus and things like that. They did before and after testing where he went without his phone completely for 30 days. And the results were just shocking. Who knew that just being off your phone for 30 days would have such dramatic effects that were actually measurable? Again, go watch that video, especially if you're thinking about doing this. That really sold me on it, to be honest. Even though there's nothing that I'm trying to fix about myself, like I said, who wouldn't love a little better focus and attention, especially for me as a writer, for the purpose of enhanced creativity? Spending more time alone with my thoughts for the purpose of generating better output. So essentially lowering the amount of input, right? Like not consuming as much. So again, that's another thing that I'm excited to see what will happen with that. Another thing to know, I am a really all or nothing person. It's just my personality. So this might not be a great experiment for everyone. Some people might think it's way too extreme, but for me, I want it to feel like an exciting challenge. Ooh, I don't know if I can really do it. And that pushes me to do it. And I think that for me, just having the built-in, what do they call that on the iPhone? Like the app limits where you can lock yourself out of certain apps. But then again, you can literally hit ignore screen time limit or whatever and get out of it. Or things like the brick, which I will maybe do another video talking about this, which I think these are all great tools and great for people that are maybe not teetotalers like I am. But I just love the excitement and the kind of anticipation of doing something that is kind of extreme in this day and age. So it just sounds more fun to me. Also, of course, I think reducing anxiety is another potential benefit that I am excited to see if I notice anything or not. Sometimes I definitely use my phone to numb out and to avoid feeling what I need to feel, to avoid dealing with certain things, to avoid conversations, whatever it is. I will use that to distract myself, numb out, whatever. I do notice that there is definitely a direct correlation between my anxiety levels and the amount of screen time that I have. Now, I'm not sure if the increased anxiety is the cause of me turning to my phone more and having that elevated screen time, or if screen time causes more anxiety. But I'm willing to bet that it's both, that they're both influencing each other, like the chicken or the egg argument, but I really think it's a cyclical effect, so it's probably both. Okay, and then my last reason for doing this is to be a little less connected for the sake of having better quality connection. So the whole concept of quality over quantity, specifically with like friendships and relationships in my life with friends and family, I am really curious to see what will happen with this. I remember when I was a kid, I loved to write little email newsletter updates to my friends. I would include pictures and write them a letter, right? And I also loved just calling my friends on the phone. And I miss that. And I think that we live in such a culture of convenience. It's so easy to send a quick text that you wonder, are some people in my life, are they staying in my life just out of convenience? If they actually had to pick up the phone and call me or answer my call, would they actually still be in my life so much? Would I ever hear from them? because it does take work and effort to maintain relationships. And I think that in this day and age of technology, for some people, their version of staying connected is maybe sending a quick text every now and then, or maybe just seeing what they post on social media and liking it or something. Like maybe that's their version of staying connected. But for me personally, I've thought a lot about how I want to cultivate better relationships in my life. And I think intentionality and effort is inevitably just a big part of it. So I'm curious to see how I can become a better, more intentional friend during this experiment and really connect perhaps a bit less frequently, but better quality, which I'm all for quality over quantity any day. Okay, moving on to part 2, the rules. And you might think that rules sound really harsh or restrictive or not so fun, but I'm actually really jazzed about this. I had a lot of fun creating these rules for myself, surprisingly. Okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to construct this experiment? So the first thing, I am locking this away for 30 days. I will be using a landline phone. So I had to call and get this hooked up. I ordered a $30 phone on Amazon, complete with voicemail and everything, very high tech. So if I have to call anyone or people have to call me, it's going to be landline. So I won't be completely phone free, but I will be cell phone free. And a lot of people are like, why don't you just switch to a dumb phone? Why don't you just get a flip phone? And my answer to that is, do you remember like the days where we literally just didn't have a cell phone as like this extra appendage, just this device that is connecting us to the outside world at all times? I really wanted to step back in time and see if I can remember what is that to not have this device attached to me at all times, right? So that's why I opted for a landline instead of just a dumb phone. Now, I will say that's a little bit of a lie because I did get a dumb phone. This is just a literally $19 track phone, flip phone. I don't even have a monthly plan that I'm paying for. I just bought like 300 minutes. So super cheap because I'm obviously a female. If I am going out and about, and basically, if I'm outside my home, I want to have something for emergencies so that I can call 911 or my husband or my parents, emergency contacts essentially. So this is the one caveat, but again, I'll only have this if I'm outside the home. Okay, another thing is I will obviously have my laptop for work and things like that. I have my MacBook Pro, which I love. I will also link up this case in the description because for those of you that know me, I'm a huge dog lover and I'm just obsessed with this laptop case. Okay, so I will have access to that, but I'm going to try to challenge myself to just keep this in one location, which is on my desk in my office. So I will also be checking my emails on my computer, both for work and for friends and family that might not call me on my landline and would prefer to email. Or I know I have some international friends that will only be able to contact me via email. But other than that, my computer will not be used for any social media or messaging apps, including Telegram, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, all those. I will, however, allow YouTube with a caveat, definitely no YouTube shorts because I scroll just like I would on my phone. You can do that on the desktop with YouTube shorts. They're basically like Instagram reels and I will be staying away from that. So that will just require some self-control, but I will allow myself to watch YouTube either on my computer or on my smart TV. But the caveat is that it has to be something educational. And what I mean by that is, okay, let's say that I want to learn how to do watercolor and I want to look up a little tutorial, or I want to really get back into playing piano again and different hobbies I might want to do, or things that just practically, video on how to change this water filter or something. Another thing that I will also be allowing is Zoom, because I will set up Zoom calls with friends that don't have the ability to call me with a landline, like if they live out of the country, and that would be a really expensive call. So that's that. Also, I will still be on Instagram, but my caveat for this is that I'm going to limit myself to logging into Instagram on the desktop version only once a week, where I will post something. So on Instagram, you can't post stories through the desktop version and you can't post reels, but you can post like a regular photo, like a regular grid post. And I will be able to respond to comments via the desktop and things like that when I log in once a week. So I will still be on social media a tiny bit, but just vastly reduced. Okay, so the part of the video you've probably all been waiting for, how am I actually going to do it? We all know how many things we can do on this little device and how much of living in our modern world seemingly requires you to have this device on you at all times. And I'm actually really excited because I think I'll be able to bust a lot of myths that you might currently believe to be true about life actually being quite possible without a smartphone. Then again, I have not done this experiment yet, so we will see. I might prove myself to be wrong, but I've done a lot of research on this. I've been prepping for this for weeks. So I'm excited to go through all the different things that I use my smartphone for normally and how I'm going to introduce a replacement to that. So I'm just going to go through a bunch of different apps and things I use on my phone and what my swap is for this experiment. Yesterday, I spent several hours messaging a bunch of friends and family and people in my contacts app that I want to give my new information to. So I gave them my landline number and my email. And I gave them a little synopsis of this experiment. And it was really cool because a lot of them were super supportive and wow, that's super cool. Keep us posted. I'm going to send you an email, or I can't wait to call you on your landline. So I am excited and just feeling very grateful for all of the supportive messages that people sent back, because I do realize this is a bit weird. Imagine your friend just texting you out of the blue and being like, hey, I'm going to ditch my cell phone for a month. Here's my landline number. Give me a call. I get it. It's a little odd. So I feel very grateful that those that have responded to me have been very kind and supportive. So I had to give people obviously a heads up that as of today, I would be turning my phone off and not turning it back on for 30 days. I just want to say I firmly believe if there's a will, there's a way. And I am very stubborn, so I have very high confidence in myself. Not that this will be easy, but that I will stick to it. Okay, so my app replacements for the clock app, I have two things that I got to replace this. My first one I have actually had for several years now, and it's just a cheap little digital alarm clock from Amazon. It's actually super reliable. I barely have to charge it ever. And I love having just a digital alarm clock by my bed so that I don't have to have my phone in my room with me while I sleep anyway. So I've been doing this for a long time now. The other thing that I got is a digital kitchen timer. It's super cute. It was like $5. I'll also link it below. Obviously, there's a timer on my stove, like in my kitchen. But I wanted to have a separate one in case I need it in another part of the house or if I need two timers at once. So it's just a super simple little digital timer. Okay, and then for my camera app, this cheap little digital camera, it does do photo and video. It was like $35 from Amazon. I'll link below the one I got. It's actually fun. It's very nostalgic. And speaking of nostalgia, I also got last summer, actually, I got one of these really fun.
What's this called? The Instax? I think it's a Fujifilm Instax. Anyway, I'll link it below because I should probably know the brand if I'm going to talk about it. Cute little instant camera.
And then for recording YouTube videos, I have a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And I highly recommend it. It's a great little camera. Then again, this is literally the first video I've filmed on this. Super small, easy to throw in my bag and film. So that's what I'm, again, recording this video on right now. Okay, the next app, obviously the weather app. Just check the weather on my laptop. Easy swap. And then instead of the Notes app, which I use all the time, lo and behold, the easiest swap is just an actual notebook and a pen. Okay, the next thing is the Wallet app, which you can have different credit cards in there that you do with Apple Pay. So I also have my gym membership card in my iPhone wallet. I actually called my gym and I asked them if they can send me a physical membership card, because I think I initially had one and I lost it. So I just asked them to send me like a physical card that they can scan, and they said, yeah, so that's in the mail. I haven't received it yet, but it should be arriving any day now. Okay, and then my calendar app and reminders app and contacts app, lo and behold, all you really need to replace those is a little planner. And this planner has like just the months, which is really all that I need. I just wanted a super small one that I can always have in my bag with me when I'm out and about. So this one was just perfect for me. It was like, I don't know, $4 from Amazon. But they also have a whole section in here where you can put in all your contacts, name and contact info. Although honestly, I can also access my contacts via my laptop, but this would be handy just to keep in my bag or by my landline phone or something like that. And then Spotify, Spotify, my love. This is something that I'm definitely going to be giving up to an extent, but I have Spotify on my laptop. I have Spotify on my smart TV, so I will definitely not be without it if I want to have music on or a podcast or something. But part of my intention with this whole experiment is to just have less background noise in general, to allow more of my own original thoughts to come through for creativity and all that fun stuff. And actually just allowing myself to be bored a bit, like I talked about in the first part of the video. So I will either just go without music, like when I'm in the car, I can just turn on my car radio, or yeah, that's it. I can just listen to the car radio or nothing at all. However, I will say the time that I will probably miss Spotify the most is when I'm at the gym, because I always wear my headphones and have my phone with me so I can listen to music. And let's be real, when I'm in between sets and like doing my little rest period, I'm usually scrolling on my phone. So it will be really weird to not have any device on me when I'm in the gym doing a workout. Now, I realize I could buy just like a good old-fashioned MP3 player. I could probably find one of those super cheap and load some music on that and call it a day. But I really didn't want to spend like too much money or go overboard with like getting a bunch of replacement stuff. So I'm actually okay with just trying to go without it for 30 days. And I guess the only place I'll listen to music is either car radio or Spotify at home, like on the TV or my laptop, which I'm fine with. Okay, the next thing is my Oura Ring app for my Oura Ring, which I love. And I actually use this to track my cycle and it gets your body temperature and all that, and my sleep and everything. So I am not going to go without my Oura Ring for a month. And I did do some research, and you actually have to have the app. So you have to have a smartphone or an iPad. Anyway, I did cheat just a little, and I asked my husband if I could use his phone. So I downloaded the Oura Ring app on my husband's phone, and I will be leaving it on airplane mode most of the time. But when I need to charge it every few days, I will sync it to his phone and just check the data. And that's basically it. I wish that Oura, actually, I could send them an email about this. I really wish that they would create an option for people that want to be able to just sync it to their laptop or something, for people that don't want to use a smartphone, but they do not currently have that functionality. So it is what it is. Okay. And then the next thing, which I know is a question lots of people have, is Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever map app that you use. And a lot of people are like, okay, it's so much more than the maps. It's about checking traffic and things like that. And yes, that is true. This is something I'm going to be going without, because my car does not have a built-in GPS. It only works with Apple CarPlay. So my GPS was only through my phone being plugged in. So I will not have any GPS. And I've decided I'm just going to print out actual map directions from like Google Maps from my laptop. Thankfully, I do have a printer, so it's nice to be able to print stuff when needed. But yeah, I'm literally just going to print out directions, and that's probably one of the things I'm most scared for. We'll just see how that goes. I'm looking forward to working through that challenge and actually navigating based off of a map and printed directions, which feels so old school to me. Remember the MapQuest days? Anyway, and about the traffic updates. And I thought, okay, what did people used to do before we had all of these live traffic update capabilities? And honestly, people would just get stuck in traffic. They might be late. They might, just have to wait a long time or take a detour or something like that. There might be 1 or 2 days during this experiment that I am running a little late or that I just get stuck in traffic and have to wait. I think for me, like, I'm okay with that. I've made peace with that. And again, we're so averse to any sort of waiting. Like, everything's just so instant. Like, even our maps gives us the most efficient, quickest route. And that's nice. And obviously, if I choose to continue living without a smartphone past these 30 days, I think I would definitely invest in like a Garmin GPS or something. But I'm actually not that concerned about it. So that's that. Okay, the next thing is my Delta app, or whatever your airline apps are that you have that you access your tickets through and you check in for flights and all that good stuff. So I will be just checking in on my laptop. And then when I get to the airport, I will arrive a little early to have them print off my ticket for me. And that's that. So one thing I will say is that I'm going to be going on a vacation during this experiment on a beach trip with my family, and I will be flying down by myself, but some of my family members are driving down, and so they're actually just going to pick me up at the airport. So I won't need to worry about calling an Uber or anything. And honestly, I never ever use my Uber app like here where I live. I will just give them my flight info ahead of time and they can check my flight and see if it's on time or not. And maybe I'll have to wait a little bit. Maybe they'll have to wait a little bit, but we're gonna try it. And I will, of course, be documenting all this, and I'll share later after the fact and let you guys know how it goes. And I'm a little nervous, but mostly just excited and curious. The next thing, all the different banking apps, like my credit card apps, bank apps, Venmo, PayPal, things like that, I will simply just use my computer. I will say that I'm a little nervous about Venmo because there are some people that I pay through Venmo. You can access Venmo through the desktop version, but they frequently ask you to do the whole two-factor authentication where they text a code to your cell phone number and you have to input the code. So I just tried to do that this morning, and I did have to put in the security code that they text to my phone number. So I'm suspecting that could be an issue, but the good thing is I have my wallet and I got some cash. So if there's anyone I need to pay, I'm just going to have cash on me and pay them in cash. So there's that. I also obviously have all my like physical credit cards that I'll be using instead of Apple Pay and keeping the credit cards in your Apple Wallet and stuff. Because usually I just go around and tap to pay and don't even have a credit card. I will be switching back to my actual physical credit cards. And then the next thing is the Google Sheets app, which I use exclusively for my workout tracker. So I take my phone with me to the gym and I open up Google Sheets, and there's my spreadsheet in there with all my exercises, and I put in the weights, the reps, the RPE, all that good stuff. So I will actually be using one of these other little notebooks to record all of my workouts, and then I will be transferring this into the spreadsheet that I'll access through my computer when I come home. The next one is the Park Columbus app, or whatever parking app you have. If your city has also converted to pretty much solely paying for parking through an app, which is annoying, then you will probably be wondering, okay, how are you going to get around this? And my answer is, I don't fully know. I can also just park in parking garages if that's available. I'm expecting that to maybe take a little more effort, but we'll work through it. We'll find a way. If there's a will, there's a way. Okay, the next thing, my phone flashlight. Lo and behold, we have just real flashlights that we can use. So I have one of these in my kitchen drawer, and there you go. Okay, the next one is specific. It's the Broadway and Columbus app, because my husband and I are season subscribers to Broadway and Columbus. So we go downtown to the theater quite often. What I decided to do in this situation is actually just go downtown to the box office. I called them about it first and I said, hey, can I get physical tickets for the remainder of the season? And they said, yes, just come to our box office and you can have all your tickets printed for the rest of the season. So I literally just drove downtown, went to the box office and picked up all my tickets, which is great because normally you have to have your ticket in the app and they scan it when you go in. So that's that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. If you have made it to this point in the video, I highly commend you. I'm very grateful that you've stuck around and listened to this whole thing. I know that this video is really long, but I wanted to be super thorough because I know that people have a lot of questions, and I appreciated longer videos when I was watching other YouTubers' videos on how to do this. And I actually really just love the ones that were super detailed about like every little aspect of their life and what they had to shift and what they had to modify. And that was really helpful to me. So I hope that this video is helpful for you if you're thinking about doing something similar or even just a modified version, just a way to be a little more present and live a little more analog and challenge ourselves to have less like stimulation and constant input and something always in our hand, like an appendage that we're always attached to. So I hope that you found this helpful in some way, and I hope that you will like and subscribe, and I will be posting more videos during this experiment and then also after, where I share my reflections and what I'm going to do moving forward if I decide to continue living like this or change it or modify it, or how I want to introduce my smartphone back in my life if applicable. So yeah, I will be posting more videos about this and other topics related to playful optimization, like how to live a better quality life, how to make your life just 1% better every day, but from a place of fullness instead of lack, actually having fun with it and really just asking ourselves, like, how good can it get? How lovely and how delightful can life be? And I think that's just so much more fun. So I think I also want to do a video on different hobbies, like more analog hobbies that I want to get into and what I'm doing with my newfound like free time. So that will be fun. I will work on that video for you guys. Yeah, again, please let me know if you have any questions, any other video ideas, and I'll see you in the next one and wish me luck.